guys ready for this episode today? So I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just got back from a trip down south.
Down south.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Just down south.
Yeah, down south.
All right.
To a funeral, actually. But.
Oh, shoot. Sorry for the loss. But today, we're going to get into... I think it's a topic that a lot of people wonder. It's a topic a lot of people question about. And I didn't even honestly understand this question in the slightest. I didn't understand this was a thing. And you might be one of those people.
What's the question, Ken?
Okay, well, let's take, for example, you're in high school, right? And it's at that age where people are starting to date around more, and you're kind of sitting there and you're like, oh, okay, so should I date people? Should I not date people? What's going on? You know, why are my balls dropping to the floor? What's happening? It's confusing, right? You don't really know how to approach it. So, you know, you get to the point, and there's a lot of ways that people try to tackle dating that usually don't work. I mean, when you're getting started, it doesn't work out for pretty much everyone. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and honestly, dating, it's a more complex problem than people expect or, like, try to solve. And it's just too much hormones. You can't think straight. That's how it goes.
There's too much emotion in it.
You don't confront a problem and try to, like, date successfully. You just go and do it. Like, oh, this is. You don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a topic people think about.
No, not really. But then, once you start actually getting into it, and you kind of start to figure, it's like, okay, there's some things that I need to understand. I'd say it's important, like an aspect, like when you first start it, it's pretty important, because once you get to that level, or where you first get started, yeah, you're going to suck at it. I'm just going to say. Everyone does, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and you get into that part where you first try it out, and you see what it's like, and you're starting to understand how it works, and you're understanding how you act as well. You're understanding a little bit more of who you are as a person, so it's an important thing. But there's a lot of people who don't understand, like, want to know how to, I guess you could say, get better at it.
Yeah. When you first start out...
Like how to pull more.
Pro tip, when you first start out, don't get too attached to one person.
No.
Because I've seen too many times a really cringy, kissy, hold hands all the time relationship. And it goes nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they just break up and it's over.
Well, how's this? From what I've noticed, I can even be a bearer of someone who has followed through this, so it's not like I'm any special case at all. But something that I've noticed through a lot of people, how it goes through their first relationships, and this applies especially to guys. So girls, this is still something important to understand, kind of how it works with guys. This is what I've noticed from a lot of people. It's not always like this, but a pattern that I've noticed is that when dudes get into their first relationship, if they're not aware of puppy dog love, that's usually what they go to. So I'll bring up some basic psychology. We like familiar love, right? So there's this dynamic that's been referred to a lot, and it sounds kind of weird, but it's like girls almost like to date boys that have a similar dynamic to them and their fathers. This is not Alabama, guys, but like Alabama, that was a dumb joke. How stupid. But it's not incest. It's like you naturally find familiar love attractive. So when you find a dynamic that's similar to how they were with their father in a romantic interest, girls will usually gravitate towards that.
Oh, because it's not in the domain of chaos.
Yes.
There's a Freudian idea of the animus, right? So that's an archetype in stories. And if it's a parent, then it's the father figure. And basically, if you're a girl, the animus is what you know of guys. It's kind of the guy's side that you can inherit through nurture. And that's all you have of being a guy. So the kind of guy you like is going to be predictable. It's going to be like your dad.
Yeah.
So it's not, and when you're, I might be a little bit biased, but I think girls are less emotionally stable. It's a lot more helpful to have a stable partner when you're less stable.
Yeah, so if you're a highly neurotic woman, a man with a little bit less neuroticism and more stability is going to be probably more attractive to you.
Yeah, you want them to be like your dad because then you know how they'll act and you don't have to analyze new behavior.
Mm-hmm. So that's where it comes in. Now, the thing is, when a dude starts dating, the same rule might apply to them with their mothers. That's what I think how puppy love does. So you're hearing Camden's theories right now. I think that's how puppy dog love stems from. So when women try to find similar love in their fathers, I think when men start to approach their first relationships when they're in their teenage years, puppy dog love comes from the same sense that they're trying to find familiar love similar to how they were with their ma. And when you're a kid and your ma, you're kind of clingy. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where puppy dog love comes from.
Well, oh man, should I get into attachment styles?
I think this is a good video to actually analyze. We can get into that stuff.
Okay, well, it's when I say attachment styles, it starts out with the child and the main parent. Mm-hmm. So the one that looks over the kid. Oh, I should have brushed up before this. There's 4 types, and only one of them is like healthy. There's anxious avoidant. There's anxious, I think it's chaotic. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should look these up so I know I'm getting it right. How do you say avoidant? Well, there's 4 different types, 3 of them are bad, 1 is good. And basically, they're all clingy to the mother except for the avoidant one who mm-hmm. tries to not, when they're angry, tries to not...
they kind of stay away from them.
Yeah, they gotta stay away from social interaction. That's what they do.
So these are that's one of the 4 styles. And then the other 3, they're kind of more on the clingy side.
Yeah, but the healthy one mm-hmm. has their crap together with their parents.
Yeah.
So they have a good relationship. So they can go out into the world, where the other 3 can't. So...
Wait, hold on, pause real quick. So you're saying that these are the 4 styles that they happen. These are the 4 relationship styles. Mm-hmm. Pretty much almost always. So you'll get into anyone of any level... When they're in dating, they're going to have a relationship. Like, they get into a relationship. We're past the dating stage. You're in a relationship. You're going to go down one of these 4 paths. That's what you're saying. And only one of them is healthy.
Well, the 4 paths start in early life. So it's actually a parent who controls what your attachment style is.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Bowlby's phases of attachment. No, it's attachment styles. Mm-hmm.
So your parents are, that goes straight into what I was going to say, because this is a little small detail, you can keep looking into that for a sec, but what I was going to say is how girls find familiar love in their dads. Mm-hmm. If they had an abusive father or a bad father, they're going to have a pretty bad, the people they're going to get in relationships with are probably not going to be too great. So, for example, if this is a girl who had a father who was an alcoholic and stuff like that, and they are almost unaware of this, their natural attachment style is almost going to be pretty similar. So the dudes that they're going to go with are not really going to be the nicest, or they're not really going to be of the best quality, kind of like that frat boy.
Toxic, to use a terrible cliche.
Yeah, they're toxic, really. So if you're not aware of that, you're pretty much going to be stuck with toxic people. And if you're stuck with toxic people, you're either A, never going to settle down with someone, or B, be unhappy with all your relationships. I think both, actually. Both of them apply. You're going to get A and B in a present right on your doorstep if you're going to go down this path. So if you want to change that, you're going to need to change... Yeah, it kind of sucks. You're going to need to change your dynamic with how you see men, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And the same thing could kind of apply to men. Not really though, because I think the father and daughter thing applies more to women. Now, when dudes get in their relationships and they do the mother thing, that's puppy dog love. That doesn't stick. So after they do that, they're kind of done with it. So when dudes develop better dating skills and they go on dates with girls, or at least after they've had a relationship with the puppy dog love thing and it didn't work, if they analyze it more, they're gonna figure out, okay, this isn't the right way to go. So I don't think dudes are gonna compare their love to mothers. They're honestly gonna probably follow alongside and almost no wait, probably not that. I was gonna say they're gonna do it like a father-daughter. You got to be careful here because it's not like a literal father-daughter relationship,
Yeah.
but like if it's a highly masculine person and a highly feminine woman and a highly masculine man is what I should say, then the masculine dude's going to almost approach it like he's the father and the woman would be the daughter. Not incest weirdo stuff, I swear, guys. Like this is not what I'm trying to say in the slightest. But they'll approach it more like that. So they'll be, they could be more on the protective side, which that would make sense, especially for when men see other men who could be competing with them, especially if the person they're dating or in a relationship with gives attention to those people, the men naturally become more competitive. Wait, I don't really need to pull up studies for that. Everyone pretty much knows that, right? So that right there could kind of be the father-daughter thing. The father doesn't want another father to take his daughter. No, but and I could be dead wrong, but you understand the premise of what I'm saying here. It's that I believe that women approach their relationships with similar love with father-daughter style. For men, though, it's different, and it could be kind of similar to what I'm saying. I could be dead wrong, guys, like seriously, but there's a different approach, and they have a different approach. And that one, I mean, I just gave you an idea, the daughter-father thing.
Yeah. You did have this red flag that you had your standard. If a girl doesn't have a good relationship with their dad, that was a red flag for you.
I remember telling you that, yeah. So that's a big red flag that I've personally established. Because when I got to know certain girls better, and there were obviously the ones that had good fatherhood, like good father relationships. They had, I can't think of the word, I can't English. They had good relationships with their father. So it was very positive, and they were mentally in a good place. And there was a pattern there. There's a good correlation. And then there was another one. There were girls that did not have very good relationships with their father, and they were not in a very good mental place. So that's a red flag for me, personally, and I think that's one that a lot of people should take in. If a person, and this could go for women too, this could go for girls, if the person you're interested in dating, or anyone really of that matter, if you want to, date same sex, this could still apply. If they don't have a good relationship with their parents, that's a big red flag for almost anyone. I would say for pretty much everyone. I say that because we could argue back to what I said. People like familiar love. So if they don't have a good relationship with their parents, a good sign of that is that their parents did something bad. Or they could have just been bad parents, generally speaking here.
If this video gets big, then we could actually revolutionize the dating.
The dating market revolutionized.
And we tell them, you want people who have good relationships with their parents. Well, how many teenagers have good relationships with their parents?
That's it.
Everyone's going to start getting good relationships.
Wait, actually, hold on. That comes to mind. That's actually something, you just pointed something out for me. How many teenagers have good relationships with their parents? You say that, the cliche is not very many. How many teenagers are able to hold relationships with people? None of them.
None of them.
So...
I mean... yeah, I mean, none of them is incorrect, but it's pretty dang close.
It's pretty close, that's true. And I mean, there are cases where this doesn't apply. Like, for example, there's parents who could have been good parents, but the kids strayed off. So remember how we've discussed kids go down one of two paths. They're either A, gonna pretty much become their parents or something very similar, and they're gonna be based off of the same values, or B, complete opposites. So I've seen parents who are, I mean, they're very moral and they have very established beliefs, but the kids completely opposite. So they kind of throw they throw their whole future out the window. They become drug addicts, all this kind of stuff.
I've seen that a couple times with the kids. There's a certain balance you have to have when parenting, because if you're a borderline tyrant and you just make your kid do everything perfectly, they're gonna have anxiety, ADD. I don't know if I think that might be a nature trait, but they're gonna have like anxiety. I think they're gonna be a lot more perceiver, a lot more off the bat, and they're gonna listen to nothing that you say. They're gonna be super rebellious. That's what happens when you try to discipline them too hard. But if you don't discipline them at all, I think they'll still be perceivers, but maybe a little bit more careful. So how do you get J-types? I don't know. Give them opportunities to work to get good rewards.
How do you get structured children?
Yeah, maybe that's an idea for a later episode.
Yeah, but how that correlates back into dating, you get kids like this who stray away from their parents. So these kids are interested in dating because they're going to be the ones who are they're not in a good mental place. I can guarantee it. So they're not going to be either dating the most high quality people, or they're not going to be high quality themselves, really. No, I go more towards the latter. They are not going to be high quality themselves if they completely stray away. And that really depends on how their parents are. Because if their parents are, good morally, but they're not going to be very good. If their parents are not good morally, but they are good morally, that's going to be some pretty good kids. And those might be some people you actually want to date, But the red flag it's a red flag for me where you don't have a good relationship with your parents. When I think of that, I heavily think of a person who their parents were of the category of not good parents. So they could have not, I guess you could say, raised their kids or gave them the attention they needed. So maybe lack of attention, or their parents just exhibited bad habits, bad traits that were rubbed off onto the kids. And so, especially if you get that in an adult person who then carries it on to the next generation, I don't know if you want to have that incorporated in your life, especially in, your family and household, if you settle down with this person, and into your kids and in yourself. That's why it's scary. That's why it's a red flag. You need to be careful of this person's relationship with their parents. You should also heavily judge, obviously, how they are as a person.
Yeah.
Because they could have bad parents, but these people could have grown up, figured out how to fix themselves, and now they're good Samaritans.
Yeah.
And they'd be great to date.
Yeah, that's actually a rarer case that I didn't even think of. Keep your eyes out for those ones. Because I've seen the people who have been in the darkest places are normally the strongest.
Yeah.
Those are high quality people.
Those are high quality people, that's the thing. And you got a solid point there. The ones that pull out of that, because there's ones who are in the dark place and they're stuck, and that sucks for them. That's what's kind of scary.
Okay, well, I found the attachment styles. I did my research, and the healthy one is called secure attachment. The primary caretaker is direct, they're sensitive, they're consistent.
Wait. Let's break this down.
Okay, direct.
So we'll do secure last. That's the best one. We'll do the first 3 unhealthy ones to begin with and see if any of these sound familiar.
Okay. So the first unhealthy one is called an avoidant attachment.
Okay.
And it's when the mother is distant and it's inactive, dismissive, critical, and irritable, eager to punish.
So
they kind
this is
of
what I was
ignore the
describing.
child, and they punish them if they get annoyed.
That one right there, though, that's kind of where, that's one of the things that I was kind of thinking of. So they were avoidant of their kids. So the kids didn't get enough attention. And if the kids don't get enough attention, it's kind of hard for them to develop as people because, you get a lot of stuff from your parents. And as a kid, you kind of figure things out from what your parents do.
Yeah.
Because you trust them a lot. You get it from people. Your parents are good people according to your child mind. So if you lose that, you kind of it almost seems like you lose levels of development as a child because you're lacking influence when you need influence the most in your life. So there's that. And then eager to punish. Yeah. So they're probably going to be abused in some sense.
Yeah. And then the child they often feel rejected and feel emotionally isolated.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They feel rejected or feel isolated. Guys, I'm telling you there's a pattern with this one. I'm pulling it out right now. I'm putting it on the table. Kids who grow up in that household become the cringe TikTok girls who seek validation. Okay?
Exactly.
I'm putting it out there. If they did not receive, say the last part again.
Suffer from emotional isolation.
Okay, emotional isolation. So they didn't receive the necessary love from their parents. Because of that, they still need it's sad. I don't want to joke too much about it, but it's kind of sad. They have a giant hole in their hearts and they need that to be filled. The problem is they're doing it the wrong way by seeking validation from every single possible outlet. And that's a dark rabbit hole because if you can only find happiness from what other people say, you're never going to be happy. That's why you need to find fulfillment from yourself. So people of that household, that family dynamic, they're going to be the validation seekers. So literally go on to TikTok, find any of the girls dancing. No. Oh, no, I did. And it's just really cringy because it's in my mind, TikTok is basically softcore porn. With underage children.
Yeah.
You can go to the home screen and you're going to find some 15-year-old, shaking on screen. And then it's got 42 million likes.
Yeah.
But back to topic. Those are the kind of people potentially who are from that household. Mm-hmm. So if this sounds like where you came from, I'm hoping I'm giving you a level of awareness here, me and Thomas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These people also get stressed and scared a lot. So they're anxious.
Mm-hmm.
That's the avoidant attachment. And it's also bad for the mother. She feels like she doesn't provide for her child's needs. So she might be a little bit overprotective and maybe smothering later in life, close to or after 18.
Oh,
So
these ones.
That's what it turns into.
Those ones are not good either.
Get ready, guys. The second unhealthy one is called ambivalent attachment. The mother is inconsistent, often indifferent, and often sensitive. So, you just got a chaotic main caretaker, and you don't know how they're going to react to anything you do. So, sometimes you say something, and they'd be super offended, and other times you might say the same thing, and they wouldn't care. So they're just super inconsistent emotionally.
Almost as if they're bipolar parents.
Yeah. So the child ends up stressed and insecure, angry, experience emotional abandonment because when your parent gets mad, they're not going to support you anymore. They're going to be against you. They're your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're indifferent, then it's no support. And then you can't control impulsivity. They can't control impulsivity because they don't know how. It hasn't been displayed. And they end up antisocial and aggressive because they don't know the basics of social interaction.
That one's kind of interesting. So, I could think of that as, back to what I said, when kids need a lot of influence from their parents, and the only influence they're getting is, they're not getting strong signals, basically. So, one thing works, they try the same thing, it doesn't work.
So they can't learn anything.
They can't learn anything. And that would make sense why they could develop slowly, and so they could lack certain things like social skills. And if this is kind of a new thought, but A person who lacks social skills could probably be more likely to be antisocial because if they don't understand how it works,
They might just ditch it altogether.
well, they might just ditch it altogether. Yeah, because, I mean, especially right there with insecure thoughts and anxiety and stuff, if they're not good at it, insecure thoughts could pop in and be like, ew, you're cringy, you don't know what to do. You know, these, whatever, these bad thoughts. And so these negative thoughts could overwhelm them to the point where they just give up entirely. Antisocial behavior. And maybe they don't want to be antisocial, but they're just there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is not actually the way the episode was intended to come out, but I kind of like this topic that we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, well, the last unhealthy one is the disorganized attachment. The mother will exaggerate, will be unpredictable, inspire fear. That's very direct. It says she's a drug addict and suffers from a mental disorder.
Wait, are we in the fourth one?
Yeah. Well, this is the third one.
Oh, this is the third one.
I mean, I started talking about the healthy one, but we're gonna talk about that last.
Okay.
And the child will end up being very scared and sad, approach strangers to find safety, have low self-esteem, feel angry, but are passive. So, I don't even know what to say about this one. This one's insane. It's like the mother, drug addict, mentally disturbed, exaggerates, unpredictable, inspires fear. That's exactly what it says.
So she's almost like a abusive father,
Yeah.
but a mother.
But she's always there.
So she's an abusive mother. So she's like, it's like, so picture like, oh, always there.
But it doesn't say abuses the child, which I think it would, because it was being very specific.
It's like a wife beater father. Like you get the dude who sits at home and watches television. He's got the beer belly, but he has like this. You know what I'm talking about? Like the wife beater tank top.
Yeah.
Now it's a woman.
Now it's a woman.
And she's always there.
There's the beta male that comes back from work, and the woman just abuses the child.
And the father.
And the father. It's like, go keep making us money.
Oh shoot! I just had a realization.
What?
So this woman, could she potentially be of the narcissistic region?
Probably. It says mother is very confused and cannot draw up a strategy to cover her child's needs.
So
it could be a mental disorder. The mental disorder part.
or multiple mental disorders.
Plus drug addict. If you have a bad life and a mental disorder, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, you can make your life better, but you cannot live like that.
No, that's like the dark pit of bad.
Yeah, because everything comes after that. Imagine a world where you just let yourself go. And everyone knows exactly where they'd be if they gave in to everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. And if you give in to one thing, it's just the next thing over and over until you get to straight dead.
Dude.
So that one's just bad. I've never even thought about that.
So you almost have like this household dynamic where the mother like you said, she kind of strikes fear over every member of the household.
Mm-hmm.
And she has control.
She's a tyrant.
She's a tyrant, 100%. And so this is difficult because the kids are going to be scarred. That's for sure. So the kids are they're either going to have issues or they're going to be aware of their issues and trying to resolve them. And then, I mean, I don't even know what the father does in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he under control of this mother too?
Probably out of the picture.
Yeah, he could be out of the picture too. That's one that's interesting actually. But what was the fourth one?
The healthy one is called the secure attachment. The mother is direct, so they don't beat around the bush.
Mm-hmm.
They're sensitive, so they don't emotionally wound the child too much. They're consistent, so the child can actually learn from them. And they're supportive, so that's the idea of positive reinforcement. So the child learns in two ways.
Uh-huh.
And the child ends up feeling safe and confident enough to explore their surroundings. So that's what I was talking about. Once you have yourself figured out and your relationship figured out, and you're all organized, when you have your domain of order, then you can go out into the world, into the domain of chaos, and start ordering that.
Right.
And then now add it to your domain of order. And you keep doing that. That's part of life. But if you don't have the domain of order right at the start of your life, it's not going to come easy.
You're going to have to work for it. And you're going to have to find ways to
So-
improve your dating style. Which that's actually... I was going to say, that's a perfect segue so we can get back into the topic of what the video was mainly about.
Oh, yeah.
Dating.
Yeah.
Which that actually is very important. Like that whole segue, I'd say it was still valid to the topic. It was a long segue though, but I think that's important. So if you're living in the household of secure attachment style, congratulations. You're going to have an easier time in the dating marketplace. The other three, which that sucks.
Yeah.
But guess what? Hope is not lost. You can find ways, and you will find ways if you follow. I mean, if you follow, we're going to talk about. This isn't exactly the most instructional video. It's a podcast, but we'll go over it. So here's what I found about dating. So we've already talked about how, especially with dudes, puppy dog love is it comes at the very beginning of relationships. And then another one that I found after that is dudes kind of tend to go towards more of the opposite spectrum if they get a relationship quite quickly after this. So if they have that puppy dog love and they're sick of it, so they're like, wow, that sucked. I want to make a change. If they get a relationship right afterwards, they're most likely to fall down the path of, I forgot what it's called, but essentially you're almost disrespectful to this woman, this girl, whatever. You're almost on a level of disrespect because it could be like, well, last time I gave this person everything and it kind of sucked. So what if I give this person close to nothing, act like I don't care all the time?
Then they're going to be doing all the relationshiping.
Yeah, the other person's going to do all the relationship doing. And you're not really going to be able to provide anything, really. Which that's kind of interesting, because if you even get into a relationship like that in the first place, it's kind of interesting, because I don't know what kind of girl is going to want to get into a relationship where the dude provides zero value. I mean, there is relationships where that happens and the dude still provides value to her, but it's not much, it seems like. Because if you're kind of just a jerk to her all the time, you kind of almost like order her around, you're not providing anything for her, she's only providing for you.
If you are one of the people that just doesn't do the relationship part and you just kind of let the other person take control of it, then I think it's going to be the only person you could get on the other side of a relationship is going to be an avoidant attachment style. Because their primary caretaker was avoidant. So you're kind of
avoiding it. So if you do that, so if you don't do that, you'll start attracting girls who were raised with the avoidant attachment style.
And even then, they're going to want you to take a little bit of initiative to further things. Because they don't know how far you want to go. And maybe they want a guy who has his goals straight and is working towards it.
Yeah, and that would make sense. So I don't target, I'll have a specific demographic. So, well, actually, I was going to say specific, but it's pretty much everyone in dating. Here's what I've learned that I honestly think is the best, because I've shifted from both ends. I've been in the end where it's like you give them a lot of value, and that kind of sucks, kind of the puppy dog love area. And then I've seen the other end, and it's like you don't give them almost any value, but you almost don't find value in that yourself. It almost seems as if something's missing. I mean, it might be great, but afterwards you could look back and you're like, I was an that kind of sucked. But what I've learned, I think the best way to do it is it's kind of a mix of both of these. So it's like I could just say, yeah, be in the balance. But here's really the best way I can describe this. if you focus if instead of you focusing on the best girl you can find, the most value a girl can provide for you, because I feel like that's a lot of what a lot of people are trying to find here. I'm still on this, guys. Don't worry, but a lot of people think about what a girl can provide for them, and that's the basic thing. And you can think that, but you're probably not gonna attract a lot of people. But the moment your mindset changes and you start to improve yourself, improve your value, and that way you can start thinking about what you can provide for her or whatever for them, you start to attract more people.
High quality babes on your doorstep.
High quality, like they're lined up.
That's how you.
Oh man!
It's like an Amazon shipping. They ship right to your door. You just do that and boom, you pay.
This is especially for dudes who are in the dating market. I don't care how old you are, high school, middle school, an adult. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's kind of counterintuitive. When you focus on girls, you get less girls. If you focus more on yourself and less on girls, you get more girls.
Yeah. What would you say to the people who plan to never have a relationship?